Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm doing my Sentinels Valorant roster rebuild. We're going to go through this whole team today, give you guys who I think they should remove, who I think they should keep, maybe what role swaps I think should be made to the team, and any other things related to Sentinels Valorant. We're going to be going through all of that in today's video. If you guys enjoy, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Really helps me out. Also, you can go check out my links in the description. It's pretty much anywhere that I post content down there: Twitter, Discord, TikTok. I have a second channel as well, among other things as well. So you can go check those out if you're interested in that. But basically, this series is me going through every roster in every region outside of China and giving you guys the changes that I think should be made to them, whether it be the cuts, the additions, any guys coming up from tier 2 and stuff like that. Even though I don't go that deep into it as probably some teams will themselves. Um, I just think that's it. Like, this series is easily the most fun series that I do all year and the one that I put the most effort into. So if you find this video interesting in any way, please leave a like so it gets like sent out to other people as well. And yeah, maybe share it with a friend and leave a comment and stuff like that. Letting me know what you think Sentinels will do with their roster in 2026. But without further ado, let's get right into it. So, as we do with every team, we'll start with the recap of their 2025. And they started the year by replacing Tens and Saucy, who retired, with Bang and Narrate, which I thought could potentially be two upgrades, like genuinely, in terms of like just how Tens was playing in 2024 and just how Saucy was playing in 2024. That could be an upgrade, potentially. And we started out the year where it was like kind of iffy, where Bang was playing really well, Narrate was kind of playing potentially. But they got second in America's kickoff, which was absolutely a success for them. They made it to Bangkok. Then they kind of fizzled out there. They had that really, really bad game against Liquid on Bind, and they ended up losing there. Then they got second in America's stage 2 or stage 1, where that one they beat G2 in the upper bracket after losing to them at kickoff and I think in the regular season as well. But they beat G2 in the upper bracket, and then they went into the grand final against them, and they ended up losing that time, though, even with the double map ban advantage. Then they got 5th, 6th at Toronto, which I think was a fairly, like, okay result for them, like, probably about what they expected, or what we expected from them. And then they got 3rd in America Stage 2, which was a bit of a dip and a bit of a disappointment. It was more of they had it felt like at the time that they had two really bad games against G2 and against NRG in the lowers. I thought that was kind of it. They would kind of bounce back a little bit, be like kind of get maybe not fully back to what they were before they lost those games, but like somewhere in between. And they just didn't. They were that exact team that they showed to be against G2 and NRG, and they lost against both teams at Paris. And I think a lot of it comes down to their map pool and what like exactly like against the best teams in the world when you're not farming not great teams within Americas, you're being only being able to play Corrode and Lotus to a high level is going to catch up with you against the best teams in the world, and that really caught up to them here. But with what our goal is for 2025, it's very simple. With Sentinels the org, it will always end up being to contend for trophies the following season. Sentinels kind of did that, not really though. Like, they didn't ever make it far enough in an international to contend for one, and it always felt like G2 was the better team than them in every international or in every regional like playoff tournament, if that makes sense. So overall, they're going to need some decent upgrades here, maybe some shift ups in terms of like where everybody's playing, and that's what we're going to get into next. So now getting into the players that we actually have to work with. So the guys that were contracted by this team in 2025, whether we want to keep them or let them go. So we have two guys here in Narrate and Bang, the two new pickups for 2025, have contracts into 2026. So if we want to keep them, then it's that simple. We'll keep them. That's just how it works. As for the other three, though, they have expiring contracts in 2025, so we'll have to re-sign them to be able to keep them. So, getting into what we're actually going to do with each player, we're going to keep Narrate, cut Bang, let Zelsis walk, and then re-sign Zekin and John Cutie. So next year, our roster will be Zekin, John, and Narrate. Now, this is not like the way that you think about these players is not where they're going to be playing. I do first, before we get into the role swaps, I do want to get into Bang specifically because he was one that I think is a little bit more nuanced than just cutting him. So he was a player that I thought played really well for this team all year. He's an incredible anchoring smokes player. Like whenever he's alone on a site, he will always get you one or two. The issue is he's a little bit too passive sometimes. And for a team like Sentinels who likes to play as heavy retake as they do, he and likes to play as heavy executes as well on attack side as like their XX need to be really good. I don't think he really fits in with that because he's not a smokes player that's so willing to go in maybe like Tens was necessarily. So we will be moving narrate over to the smokes role where it always felt like when he played scan initiator he kind of wanted to do a little bit more, he wanted to take a little bit more fights, but he never really got that opportunity to because he was playing scan initiator. So we're going to put him on smokes, let him play a little bit more aggressive specifically on that attack side, and maybe let him take some more timings, like be able to trade off of our duelist player as well. But our duelist player will not be Zekin because he will be moving over and filling that scan initiator slot that narrate left open. So basically, heading into 2026, we have a scan initiator in Zekin who can play double duelist a little bit. You have narrate who can play a little bit of scan initiator as well when they play the double duelist, and then you have John Cutie who's playing Sentinel. Um, and narrate will be playing the smokes, as I said. But yeah, these for our needs, we need a duelist player and we need a flex player. One guy that can either fill in a little bit of scan or smokes, depending on what we want to do. Fill in maybe a little bit of flash initiator as well, depending. Maybe a little bit of sentinel as well. There's quite a few gaps left on this team with moving some players around, but I do think it is definitely doable to fill those slots. So, looking into the players that are actually available for these roles, for duelist players, you have Icy, potentially Asuna if he gets let go by 100 Thieves, Timatinho, and Redux for duelist players. Then for flex players, you have Nismo, potentially, Okeanos, potentially as well, who could get let go from Lev, and then Jonah P, whose contract is expiring with G2 as well. But getting into the players that we did actually pick for this team. The first one, no surprise, it'll be Redux. He's on Qbert Academy, can just easily head into Sentinels for this year. I think he already had a contract technically, but if I kept him in that like group at the beginning, then this would be a much shorter video. I did want to actually go in depth and talk about Redux, but this guy has been hailed as the future of NA Valorant for like 2 years now, like last year and then heading into or this season as well, and then heading into next season he'll actually be 18 and be able to play on a tier 1 team. So I mean, he's just incredible. I think moving second to scan actually frees him up to play his best role because a lot of the stuff with him is that he was going to play smokes for this team, and I just don't see that for him unless he's only playing Omen, and I don't think he can play. Like I don't think he'd be good at too much else personally, and that could be an issue if Omen gets nerfed. He can play all the main duelists though to an extremely high level. I haven't seen too much of his Waylay, but his Neon, his Yoru, his Raze, and his Jet are all pretty good. Despite I kind of just go through an autopilot and screenshot the VLR stats. If you look at his Raze stats here, they don't look very good at 0.23 rating, but it was probably just one bad game where his team played really badly as well. But giving you that flexibility is really good. He would probably have to improve his waylay a little bit depending, but he would still be at a good spot. The only concern with him personally for me is that there is quite a bit of pressure for him to come in as this guy that's been like hailed as the future of NA Valorant for 2 years, as I said, into Sentinels, who puts the most pressure on you as an org with the biggest org in Valorant, and a little bit to fill in Zekin's role because if he's playing bad, people are going to be like, "Oh, wait, he's really bad," or like, Redux is so bad they should have kept Zekin on Duelist, kind of thing. That is also something that you can say is potentially a decent issue. But also, I think this other guy gives us a lot of flexibility to do literally whatever we want with our roles because I think Redux, if you do want to keep him on smokes with this whole roster, I think would still kind of work. And that other player that we're picking up is Okeanos. I thought he was arguably the best flex player in Americas in stage two. He can fill in all the gaps if people need to move around in their roles, like swap the people in between, like whether Redux, Zekin, Narrate. Like if you want to move any of them back to their previous role, you can kind of do that with Okeanos in the roster. He can play scan, smokes, flashes, and a bit of duelist as well. And it was pretty disappointing to see him get dropped from Lev, both in this world, in my eyes. It was kind of like, if Lev goes full Latam in real life, I'll do it in this. Um, and since they did it in real life, or at least they went full South American. Um, Okeanos got let go and was one of the top players that I looked at for literally almost every team in Americas, from top to bottom. So that was our other pickup there. I am very excited about both these players. I think this roster could genuinely win like as many titles as you want in 2026. I think they can contend with G2. I think they can beat G2 as long as the coaching staff and IGLing is able to adapt better in game. I think getting an Okeanos can potentially help you with that stuff. Getting Zekin on more of a supportive role and letting him kind of maybe read out the game a little bit more, letting Narrate kind of have his own aggression within his role on the controller role rather than scan initiator, I think is a lot better. And I think this allows you to maybe experiment during the offseason a little bit with roles, but I think they have to settle on a set five pretty quickly, unlike last year where they kind of were juggling around roles during the offseason and it kind of felt like maybe they were never fully set heading into kickoff. But yeah, like if you really need to, you could move Zekin back to Duelist. You can move Narrate back to Scan. You can move Redux to Smokes and then keep Okeanos on Flex. And I think that would all still work for me personally. So yeah, let me know what you guys think specifically about these roles in the comments below because I do think the 5 names here makes a good roster. It just depends on what you think of the role swaps. But this is what I would do personally. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.